former CEO of CKE Restaurants and author of the book, The Capitalist Comeback, the Trump Boom and the Left's Plot to Stop It. We welcome you, Andy. Great to have you on the program this morning. And you look at the discussion and the conversation that is being had in this country right now, and the amount of times we hear socialism mentioned in the halls of Congress. Did you ever think you would see this time?
Well, I never did. At the end, you remember at the end of the, you probably don't, you're too young, but when the Soviet Union collapsed back in 1991, the big joke was that the only place you could find a socialist was the faculty lounge at Harvard. And, now that has spread. The idea of socialism has spread very widely, although they try and cover it up. They try and say, look, we're not like the socialism of the Soviet Union or Cuba, North Korea, or Venezuela. We're this new kind of socialism, which is one of the problems with the Green New Deal, is it's the old kind of socialism. By the way, that poll you mentioned, that was taken between the 10th and the 12th of February. The Green New Deal was released on the 7th of February. So that may actually have influenced some of this polling. People might be saying, whoa, that's not what we signed up for. That's not what we want.
Well, what do you want people to know about that Green New Deal? We don't know a lot about it. I mean, we were able to read through the initial pages that were put out and the suggestions that were made. What did you think when you saw it?
Well, I thought two things. Number one, it really put the lie to the notion that the kind of socialism that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders are talking about is some new kind of socialism. These are old socialist 5-year programs, just like they had in the Soviet Union. They even talk about the government just printing money to pay for these programs. Well, look at Venezuela. They've got 1,000% inflation because the government's currency has no value. It has no respect around the world. So the first thing is it's the old kind of socialism. The second thing is whether you believe in climate change, whether you believe in global warming or not, and I don't want to debate that here. There's people that are more expert on that than me for sure. But whether or not you believe it, it's clear now that the socialists are going to use the scare of global warming and climate change as a bludgeon to try and transform America from the free market democracy that we enjoy today to some kind of totalitarian, government-run, government-monitored state that fits in with their values. Climate change is a tool for them, and so far it's been a pretty effective tool, but I think your poll shows that people are starting to wake up and say, whoa, like I said, this is not what we signed up for.
You could probably take it a step further if you look at the Fox News polling. You check it out online at foxnews.com about the level of optimism, whether or not you think your family is going to achieve the American dream. These numbers are way up. Here is your quote now, okay, about America's greatness. Our nation's greatness lies in its respect for personal liberty and economic freedom. That's something of which they should never be ashamed. I'll give you a little more, okay, because you just mentioned Venezuela. On Monday, big speech in Miami on behalf of the president down there in Florida. Had our family lived in almost any other country, my story and theirs would have been very different. Had I been born in a socialist country, the Soviet Union of old or Venezuela today, the notion of lifting myself up from the working class either never would have occurred to me or never would have seemed achievable, end quote.
That's absolutely true. My grandfather came to this country in 1912 from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, from Slovakia. He left because there was no opportunity. So as a teenager, left his parents, his home, his friends, had the courage to come to America. Had he not done that, and had our founders, the founders of this country, not set up a free market capitalist economy, there's no way somebody like me could ever have aspired to succeed as I did in my life, in any other country in the history of the world. This is the only country where you can really lift yourself up that way, lift yourself up by your bootstraps and really make a difference in the world. So I'm very protective of our American free market system, of our American capitalist system. I think it's important for America's youth. And I'm hoping things like this Green New Deal and the kind of just, unicorns and rainbows plans that socialists try and sell as this, this workers' paradise or this nirvana on earth, that they're just not true and they're just not achievable. The only economic system that has ever substantially lifted people out of poverty is capitalism, and it's been doing so for 220 years.
Amazing to hear how many members of Congress have already come out in support of the Green New Deal. It
is amazing. But, Kim Strassel got it right. This is the silent weapon for Republicans for 2020. They just have to sit back and watch it happen, because people will see through this. It's so fanciful. It's so off target from anything that America represents that I think it'll be a big factor in the upcoming election.
Thank you, sir. Andy Puzder there with us today
My
out
pleasure,
of Nashville,
Bill. Thank
Tennessee.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Again.
Bye-bye. Thanks,
An illness in a moment here once declared eradicating the